Welcome to another episode of Altitude Advantage. I'm your host and team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. And across the table, we have our lead writer on DenverBroncos.com, Aric DiLalla. And we have our digital media contributor, Susanna Ware, here as well in the Broncos podcast studio, fresh off the bye week. How are you guys feeling today? I missed you guys. You guys,
I missed you too. I've just been in here waiting for you guys to get back. Just been sitting in this room for the last 6 days. But it's nice that you've rejoined me, and I'm ready for another football game, ready to get back to work.
Yeah, we just turned the lights on. It was just like Aric was in the room. So, Suze, how you feeling after the bye week?
I feel great. Ready to go. Happy to be back. Exciting week.
It was an exciting week. Big matchup coming up. I see you just grinning over there. What are you
Just
grinning?
excited to see you guys. It's been a while.
Well, it's always better to go into a bye week on a win. And I know that Broncos country was really excited about that win on Monday night. I felt like that was like a year ago, given how long this week has been. And we've missed all of you guys. So make sure that you guys comment and leave questions and comments on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to listen to Altitude Advantage. Don't miss any episodes. We only have a few more coming up, or at least as far as the regular season comes. There's only 4 games left. Can you believe it?
Oh, my goodness. It's flown by. But
Yeah.
4 big games. This one in particular against the Colts, huge playoff implications. Almost
Huge.
feels like a playoff type game.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos win this game, their playoff odds go up to like 90%. If they don't win, it falls below 50%. You might have to win the last 3 to get in. So it feels like a playoff game in December for the Broncos. I know the guys are excited about it. We'll talk more about it in just a minute or two. But yeah, we're rested. We're ready to go. People were fired up on the last podcast.
Yeah, they were. We're all fired up, and I feel like the comments were too. So what do you got for us on the comment side?
Yeah, on the Broncos official YouTube page, you can leave a comment, leave a question. Broncos football junkie said, "This is a very fiery group when sleep deprived. I love it. Keep up the victory vibes. Go Broncos." Yeah. Susanna was just all over the place on last Tuesday when we were in here after a wild Monday Night Football victory. Suze, how do you feel a week later? You over it? Back down to...
I mean, I wasn't the one that had 8 shots of espresso that day. That was you. So.
That was not me.
That's true. That was a little much.
I drink hot chocolate. So.
I had a little bit of an issue with the microphone. It's going better.
That's right.
So far.
You in the face.
It's true.
Next comment.
There was a comment about that. Harold Sanchez 4825 said that Mike apparently was tired as well, also running on 8 shots of espresso. And then One-Eyed Jax says, Aric 0 microphone 2. Keep your guard up, brother. I need to.
Yeah,
so far,
you do.
so good. I didn't have very good spatial awareness that day. Some other comments.
These comments are awesome.
Bulwark tier. These Broncos are leaving a lot of people speechless. Cheers as usual to you all. I think we just didn't know what to say. Somebody named Nerd Fiction issued a correction. I'm not going to read it.
Okay.
Team Took says a Broncos win plus Elisa with the song references. I don't remember what song you were referencing. Do you?
I don't.
Plus Suze with the Aric shade equals me happy. 3 laughing emojis.
Hey. So
Happy to be of
they like
assistance.
music and the shade from Suze. I like it. Throw some D's on it.
Robert Barlow says having 2 defensive candidates, I would assume for player of the year, is just amazing after all the shade we got in the offseason from all these so-called analyzers.
Ugh, so-called.
That's like the stats that Suze keeps twisting around.
Shots
Those
fired early on the
those the same
pod.
thing?
We're like 4 minutes
I
in.
don't think it's the same thing.
Izzy Leon says, can we get a better camera angle for Suze, or is it not possible? That's my only gripe. Love the show.
Wow. That's very flattering. Thank you.
It is.
Commenter.
We only have this wide shot for
That's all we
Suze's
got.
That's what
mic.
they say. It's really just they don't want.
Who is they,
steal
Suze?
the show,
Who is they?
so.
Who is they? Who is they?
Those are, someone said they liked your nails. They have the finger painting emoji and the Joker card.
Oh, nice. Thank you. I actually just got them redone. They're Christmas themed, actually.
Little gingerbread people?
Yeah, gingerbread house, gingerbread people.
Wow.
Little candy cane
Exciting.
action.
I didn't have time to get mine done.
Ah, man. You really need to take care of yourself some more.
Maybe if the Broncos win the Super Bowl or something, I'll paint them.
I like how he added maybe. You know the rule he says about maybe. It's like, may not be true. So
But appreciate all the comments, and we missed our loyal listeners, but we're back. And
Yes.
we'll also be back Thursday. Mm-hmm. So we're back on a regular schedule, which is nice.
We are. This week, like you said, it's crazy how we had the bye week, and now it's just strictly back to business. Like, there is almost no time to really catch your breath, and I know that's what the bye week is for, and to get healthy and things like that. But it's like sometimes you come out of it, and like the next matchup isn't as critical. But this one I feel like is pretty critical, and I know we're gonna get into that in much more detail in Thursday's podcast when we preview it. But I'm really excited about this game, just from like you said, it's one of the biggest games that the Broncos have played for in a while. And if they win this game, not only does it help out their playoff implications, but it also guarantees a winning season, which I think is also, a positive milestone that they want to add into their win column.
Yeah, for sure. They haven't had a winning season, obviously, since 2016. Did not make the playoffs that year, but were able to go 9-7 that season. So I think getting back to winning football is kind of the next box you've got to check off, right? If you're this team, and Sean Payton has helped them break a lot of streaks or a lot of things that you don't want around the team, whether it's the losing streak to the Chiefs or the Raiders, or not winning on Monday Night Football. They had a long streak before last year in Buffalo of losing Monday Night Football games, and Sean Payton, one by one, and this team have kind of gotten rid of those. He exercising those demons, right? And so one by one, the Broncos have been able to do that. Sean Payton did say Monday, hey, we've got a lot bigger goals than a winning season. He said not one person in this building has talked about the importance of having a winning season, because playoffs are on the table, right?
And they guarantee a winning season if you make the playoffs. So
right. And so I don't think that it's like a big point of emphasis, but I do think you can use it as a marker of saying, hey, this is how far this team has come. Last year they were able to win 8 games, which again was the most since 2016. Now you'd be checking off the winning season, still have 3 games to play after that. But it is a little bit of, like, if you just looked at this matchup on paper, you'd see that the Colts have 7 losses and the Broncos have 5 losses. And so you'd think, okay, well, the Broncos could absorb a loss here and still be okay. But I think the reality of it is just the difficulty of the Broncos' schedule after this, where you go to LA on a short week, go to Cincinnati, and then play the Chiefs at home, versus the Colts schedule where they play the Titans, they play the Giants, they play the Jaguars. It feels like maybe the Colts don't lose again after this. And so if you're the Broncos, you don't want to lose a head-to-head tiebreaker where all of a sudden if you slip up in one of these other matchups, you've done all this work, you've gone to 8-5, you felt good about where you are entering the bye week, and then all of a sudden one game changes things. And so if you can win this football game this week, and again, we'll talk on Thursday about how you win it with the keys, how the Broncos get back to playing good defense, all that, handling Anthony Richardson. But if you win this football game, you basically knock the Colts out of the race. And then it's basically, can you win one more and have Miami lose one? Or if you win 2 more, you automatically take care of business. And so you stay in control of your own destiny. And for a long time this season, the Broncos have been in control of their own destiny. You don't want to give it up this week.
Yeah, I believe before the bye week, Adam Troutman had said that. He was like, we are in a position where we can control our own destiny, and we've also been in a position where we lost that control. I think he referenced the Patriots game from last year, and he said, and then it just kind of snowballs into something that you lose complete control of, and that's not something they want to do based on the work that they've had. And everyone has that mentality of week by week, game by game. I believe even running back Jaleel McLaughlin mentioned that today during the pressers. He was just kind of like, these are the games you want to play in. As a kid, you dream about playing in big games like this, but then they always go back to that mantra, like week by week, like let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I think, Suze, as we've kind of talked to the guys over the course of the past few weeks, that's the mentality that we have not seen change from any of them.
Yeah, it's definitely been that way throughout the entire season. Win or lose, bad game, good game, like whatever it's been, they've always been come in Monday, flush it, move on to the next one. And I think that's especially important coming out of the bye week, again, coming off of a big win, because you still got to turn your focus very quickly now. And I mean, Zach Allen said it today too. He was like, we're just focused on getting the next win. It's easy to look at the upcoming games down the stretch and realize like what the implications of this are, but they're like, all we can focus on right now is Indianapolis, because that's all that's in our control this week. So
Go Go ahead.
I was going to say that's big too because the Colts are coming off of their bye week as well, which Allen also referenced to.
Yeah, they're well rested. They're going to be ready to go. They know this is the same way as it is for the Broncos. They know it's a must-win for them if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. And they've already had some kind of close calls, if you will. Like they've flirted with disaster a little bit. They had a tough stretch there where they played a brutal stretch of opponents, but they found a way to get a win against the Jets that was critical. And then this past week before the bye, I think they had like a 17-play drive against New England. They went for 2 to win the game. Anthony Richardson, after being benched several weeks ago, is playing much better now, and he comes in and converts, I think, three fourth downs on that drive and finds a way to win the football game. And so they know what's at stake as well. But I think the other thing to consider is that obviously the media and us, we're sitting here and we're talking about, can the Broncos beat the Colts and take a step toward their first playoff berth since 2015? Mm-hmm. But I think the other way to look at it is that this football team has lost, 3 games since week 3? They're 8-3 since week 3 when they went to Tampa and they started that 3-game winning streak. And so they've been playing really good football here and winning a lot of these close games, when they have been close over the last few months, really since that 0-2 start. And so if you're the Broncos, while everybody else and the fan base might be like, just get into the playoffs, the Broncos have the same record as the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
Like if they win against the Colts this weekend, you're going to LA on a short week to play a division opponent, and it's not just to get in the playoffs. It could be to get to the 6th seed or help yourself try to get toward the 5 seed. Like, I think it's natural when you haven't seen this team have success in a long time for fans or media members to be like, oh, can they get 2 out of the next 4? But if you extrapolate the way they've played over the last several months and going 8-3, like the way they've played, it's more likely that they go 3-1, right? And even though it's a tough set of opponents, and so, as fans and whoever else worry about, okay, can the Broncos make the playoffs? This team, I know, like you said, 1 game at a time, but what they've shown, maybe we shouldn't be worrying about that. Maybe it should be like, can these guys go on a run and get to the 6th seed, get to the 5 seed, and set yourself up for a more favorable playoff matchup?
And that could potentially be like what they were alluding to. Like, we have bigger goals. Like, obviously, we don't know exactly what the players are thinking, but when you are looking at these next opponents, like you said, it was the Colts, you have the Chargers, you have the Bengals, and you have the Chiefs. Those are 4 tough teams to go up against that are playing good football. You had mentioned previous, like, although his record doesn't show it, Joe Burrow has had a really good season, and this defense is also trying to get back to itself. Zach Allen had mentioned that it was interesting to kind of see the tape from Monday night and just saying, like, we need to get back to our ways of really putting pressure on the quarterback because, like you mentioned, Anthony Richardson, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and we'll see if Patrick Mahomes plays in that last game. He may not due to them clinching the division. Those are 4 really good quarterbacks that this team has to prepare to face.
Yeah, and obviously Richardson is still growing. He's probably not quite in the class of those other 3 guys yet, but
Allen said he's one of the bigger guys.
He's huge.
Yeah, he's one of the bigger guys we might have to bring down.
And he's an athlete. He's going to run the football. They've called more design runs, so it's going to be a physical game, I think, and you've got to find a way to avoid turnovers, force turnovers against Richardson. Again, we'll talk more about that, but like if you're in the playoffs, these are the type of guys, especially a Herbert, Burrow, Mahomes, like those are the type of guys you're going to play anyway. And so I think if you're the Broncos, you'd rather get battle tested over these next 4 games and be ready to go when you get to the postseason, as opposed to maybe playing some softer opponents and not being ready for what you're going to face, come wild card weekend. But you mentioned the Chiefs there. The fact that the Bills lost yesterday in Los Angeles and the Chiefs were able to doink one in against the Chargers, it's kind of the rare occasion where Broncos fans wanted the Chiefs to win, right? Because it increased the chances that, that the Broncos could get the 6th seed going, having a chance to go head-to-head with the Chargers in a couple of weeks. But also just if the Chiefs go into that last game all locked up, you feel a lot better about, not that they couldn't, and there's probably part of the Broncos that would like to just face the Chiefs
of course,
full strength and have a chance to get revenge for that loss there in Kansas City. But at the same time, you're going to take wins however you can get them, whoever's on the field. So that would obviously be a benefit. So we'll keep an eye on that. But, yeah, the Broncos, I hesitate to make predictions, but just the way they've played,
Make them.
I just think that like you're more likely to see them continue to win and not just sneak in, right? Like I think this team is going to make a push for who knows if it happens or not. Like you do have tough opponents to play, but I think they're going to be in these games down the stretch. They're going to make a push for a higher seed than the 7 seed, and that there's going to be probably no doubt, in 3 or 4 weeks that this is a playoff team and that they've earned it rather than just kind of sneaking in.
Yeah. And I think at the beginning of the season, it almost made, I'm like, not going to assume, but like, it felt that was kind of the mentality was like, let's just get in. And now mid to end of the season, I feel like they're a lot more confident in what they're doing with what they're producing on the field, to your point. And now they're like, you guys, we have what it takes to get farther and farther and farther. And every time you look at, like you said, the losses that they had, we talked about it. It's like the growing pains of this team, right? And it's like you have to accept those growing pains because at least you know that you're elevating into something better. The way that Bo has played, the way that the young receivers have played, the way that Nick Bonito has really played this season. He's currently tied for second in the league in sacks with 11. He's tied with Myles Garrett, which is someone that he's given a lot of credit to, especially going into that Monday Night Football game. And then as a unit, the defense leads the NFL in sacks after 14 weeks still, even without playing last week with 47. So when you look at the way that this team is kind of just gelling and everything, I feel like you have that hopeful that against this Colts game, especially at home, which they've been playing a little better. I mean, obviously, as much as we said on Monday's podcast that it was a fun game on Monday, I just want to, maybe not so much of a heart attack on Sunday,
Yeah, what, they've won 3 straight at home, right?
Yeah.
Carolina, Atlanta, and then Cleveland. I don't think I'm missing one, but they've
Sue's thinking about it. I don't think.
Yeah, I think they've kind of found their way at home, and especially when you see them play younger quarterbacks in Denver. Hopefully, everybody shows up and it's a loud, fired up crowd on Sunday. I feel somewhat confident that the defense will, or not somewhat confident. I feel confident the defense will respond because. Listen, they had a tough game against Baltimore, and the next week they bounced right back, and they were great in Kansas City. So they've earned the benefit of the doubt, I think, that they can respond the right way, and so I'll be excited to see them play. And then, of course, Bo and the offense getting back out there. Sean said the penalties have to be dialed down, both with the offensive line and the secondary, or else it's going to cost them at some point. I think that's very fair. It's a fair point. And so we'll see how Denver comes out of this bye. It's interesting, like you have this Week 14 bye, which you would think would be such an advantage, but the other team has it too. And so it kind of evens out to some degree. But whichever team comes out of the bye ready to go, ready to be physical, they're going to have a good chance of winning the football game.
Yeah, it's all about, like you said, who's going to come out flat. And I think that was a conversation that we had talked about on the pod, I believe, after that Chiefs game. And we're saying, okay, like versus Atlanta, like, how are the Broncos going to come out? Are they going to come out flat? Are they going to come out semi-defeated? Or are they going to come out ready to handle business? And you saw that pretty early on in that game. And I think with the Colts, I feel like because they've had that adversity before, the refresh that they've had this week, obviously some guys stayed here and just kind of got healthy. But, head coach Sean Payton mentioned that this is the time where you need the guys to be healthy. And it is healthy for them mentally to take a break, but it's also good for them physically to just be in a position late in the season where you're going to need everybody, all hands on deck, to really kind of make that late playoff push. And I feel like the Broncos are in a pretty good space, given with their guys. And obviously, we don't know what the injury report looks like this week or anything. But I think with the way that this team is playing and the way that even with injuries throughout the season, that next man up mentality has really kind of worked in their favor. We've seen a lot of young guys, a lot of different guys on this team really kind of make an impact. Is there a player that stands out to you that you didn't kind of see coming, but you thought has been pretty good this season?
Susie, you want to take that one first?
I'm going to go with J-Mac because he's made tons of big plays.
Hey,
and
J-Mac.
I don't know. I mean, I know we talked about on the last podcast that maybe there was some perception that he was having a little bit of an up and down season, but we've seen him really come through in moments where it's mattered. I mean, he had that insane interception against Carolina that he twisted around and was able to come down with the ball. So, I mean, I think he's really made an impact in some of those big moments. So that'd be my guy.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked so much about a lot of the rookies, but it was fun to watch Chris Abrams-Drain get his first reps against Cleveland. It will be interesting to see this week. You mentioned the injury report, like what's up with Riley Moss. We'll see. He obviously didn't practice ahead of Monday Night Football after suffering that injury against the Raiders in Week 12. But, we'll see if Abrams-Draine gets more run. There were some clips of him, sticking right with Jerry Jeudy, and I know he gave up a deep pass interference there late in the game, but I think just the compete was impressive. Sean Payton talked pretty highly about him on Monday. And listen, this rookie class has already made such a big impact. If you can get another guy to step in there and contribute, it would be a big deal. And so he's a guy that I think people will have their eye on this week.
Yeah. And I think for me, it has to be Jonah Ellis. I think he really impressed me in that Falcons game. There's a lot of jitters when you're a rookie and then your brother comes to play and you want to kind of make your mark, and for him to get a sack in that game. And I think his brother had a tackle on Jaleel, I think, and he ran and tapped his brother on the helmet. It's just one of those fun moments. But I think he's one of the young guys that you didn't really think was going to be able to stand out in the defense that's so stacked. And for him to, have people know his name, I think is also really impressive. All right, so before we get out of here, I do want to give a shout out to the University of Georgia, the alma mater of who? Champ Bailey. That's why I'm wearing the shirt today. Plus, they beat Texas, and I'm sure you may not know, but I really do not like Texas. Of 05.
Hopefully we don't have too many Texas listeners.
I mean, look.
Or Georgia Tech listeners or SEC listeners.
This is why I'm wearing the shirt, because Champ Bailey was actually at the game. He was at the Raiders game. He was at the Georgia game.
Champ's all over the place. He's everywhere.
All over the place.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. He's actually, that's the first Broncos jersey I ever got as a kid.
That's a good one.
It's Champ Bailey. What was your first jersey as a kid?
Oh.
So he's coming to you.
I'm gonna decline. But thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Was it your last name?
No, it was not. But I'm gonna decline.
Should we talk about the poster then?
All right, Suze. We're gonna wrap this one up.
What? I'm feeling a little left
I
out of the podcast circle.
I didn't get to answer about my jersey.
I'm going to you, Suze.
Well, I did not grow up a Denver Broncos fan, so I'm sorry. My first football jersey was Victor Cruz.
Victor Cruz. That's
Salsa
a good
dance.
one. Yeah. He was the first Latino to do the salsa in the end zone.
That's going to get me canceled for being a
It
Giants
is
fan.
not. It is not. It is not. It is not.
Not a... Oh, never mind.
It is not. It is not. No, Victor Cruz is a good pick. And I'm sure the way that this franchise feels, and the franchise fans feel about Tom Brady, I think they'll appreciate.
That's true. Eli. Yeah, you
Yeah,
get the
Eli
connection.
and Victor
That's
Cruz
nice.
defeating Tom Brady.
My second jersey was Eli, so there you go.
There you go. No longer canceled.
Who's the poster?
Do you want to
of,
list? Do you want to list like your 3rd through 11th jerseys?
I've only had 2 jerseys, so those are the 2. There you go.
Well, they just say they like when we get sleep deprived and we fall off the rails a little bit.
I'm fine.
You're fine?
I could keep going for another 35 minutes.
How many coffee shots did you have today?
I am only at 4. But the day is still young.
The day is still young. Well, there's enough time for you guys to go back and review all the podcasts from last week if you missed anything as we get ready to host the Colts on Sunday. Again, this is Altitude Advantage. I'm your host and team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. Across the table, we have our coffee drinker, our jersey decliner sayer, lead writer,
I think you owe the
Aric DiLalla.
listeners an answer. So.
And we have our digital media contributor, Susanna Ware, as well. So we appreciate you guys. We will see you guys on Thursday. Comment and maybe leave in there, Aric, tell us who it is.